Hey everybody, Sarah at Nova again. And this week we decided that we were going to draw some parallels between our 1970-ish Triumph 650 chopper and a 2005 CBR 600, Honda CBR 600 sport bike. At first glance, you're like, what the heck could be the same about these two things? But we realized when we were looking at them is they're both customs. Um, this one we've done a video on. We went into more detail on it. Look back if you haven't seen it through our feed. But this is a hardtailed 650 that somebody built. If you've ever ridden a hardtail, you know you don't do it for comfort. You don't do it for safety. You don't do it for handling. You do it because it kind of looks cool. And it harkens to earlier day of motorcycles before we invented suspension, and also drag racing. Drag racers historically would use hardtails because there's more of the power is going to be going through the tire into the ground, not flexing up when you accelerate. So the comfort out the window and get your speed going. For the hobbyist, you'd put it on because it looks cool. And that is pretty much what this is all about here. This CBR, you'll notice, has an extended swing arm. If you've been around the sport bike world, this is a common thing to see. Basically, the swing arm is longer than it ought to be. And that comes straight out of the drag racing world. You put a longer swing arm on a drag bike because you don't want it to wheelie. It gives a lot more stability in a straight line. So when you're pushing a bike that's got 300 horsepower or more, pushing 200 plus miles an hour, you don't want it to be able to turn very much. So you want that the longer it is, the straighter it'll go, the more stable it'll be at speed. And again, you'll see something like this in a land speed, Bonneville salt flats kind of thing. Same concept. But people like the look on their street bike. So this is a bike we're working on here in Western Massachusetts. Somebody's riding around on the road, and clearly I don't think they're worried about too much of that top line speed because a standard CBR 600 does just fine going those kind of speeds. So it's an image thing, and obviously this is a different kind of image than that bike. This is more Fast and the Furious, and that's more Easy Rider. But the concept is exactly the same. Is you're throwing comfort out the window. You're throwing performance, actual performance or handling or improvements to the regards of the way the bike functions out the window, and you're adding a little bit of style, a little bit of culture, and some different, and something to make it your own, something that's not like your buddy's bike or the one that you can go down and any old Joe can buy down at the dealership. You'll notice other touches, a lot of stickers, got these anodized aluminum touches all over it, custom colors on stuff. I think we even have some stickers on the tires, some stickers on the rims here, and even some stickers on the tires, just to make sure. Not everybody's cup of tea, but still, there's gaudier things in the world out there. So yeah, we're looking at this and realizing that there's not a lot of difference at a very pure level between what the purpose of riding this thing is and the purpose of riding this thing. So kind of cool. Basically, it's to each their own with certain degrees. Now, as a motorcycle shop, just like when we talk a little bit of smack about people using car tires on their motorcycles, dark siding as it's called, there's some things to point out. Again, I mentioned you're going to lose some stability. Not stability. You're going to lose some agility with this. Your ability to turn is not going to be as much. You'll notice the tire not really seeing a lot of action beyond the center because you're not really doing this so you can improve your handling and your nimbleness. My personal opinion is that when you ride a motorcycle, your safety is in your ability to move and turn and get out of the way of things. So you're losing something there, and that's not necessarily great. Secondly, the way they extended the swing arm, this is a really common add-on, and I'm not talking trash about the owner of this bike. A lot of people do this, but you'll see this is a little insert right here. This is the stock swing arm, and this is just an extension that bolts in, which means there's a lot of flex in this. It's really sketchy. It's kind of sketchy at 65 miles an hour, and you start going 150 miles an hour, 165 miles an hour. That makes it really kind of sketchy on a very real level. So if you are thinking that this is the kind of bike you want to be riding, at the very least, I would say cough up the money and buy an actual extended swing arm that has welded extensions on it, or is made for the task as a one-off piece made for the job at hand. Because they're out there. You can get them. And it's far safer. If you're going to be riding a bike at speed, you don't want to have things that can just kind of fall off and or add to any kind of shake or shimmy when you're going down the road. There's enough other things that'll just do that to you when you're riding. So that's a little sketchy. So yeah, let us know your thoughts about these things. Any kind of customization you've done on your bikes, whether it be a sport bike or an more old school chopper kind of thing. Tell us why you do it. Tell us some stories about, if you're ever trying to ride a hardtail across country. I'm sure your kidneys are still feeling it. Riding something like this extended, I'm sure there's going to be some sketchy moments trying to navigate modern day traffic in something like this. So always love to hear those stories in the comments. And then another thing that's common between these two bikes is, and this is something I love. I know I can sound snooty about it because I'm a mechanic, but the home-built nature of both of these bikes is very much the same thing. This bike was in here because the customer was riding it and it just shut off on them. So I went and I picked it up. Bailey dug into it when we got back to the shop, and what she found was a disconnected ground wire from the power commander. So a power commander, as you know, or may or not know, it's an add-on thing for fuel-injected bikes and bikes with chips in them, and it basically just reprograms the fuel injection, makes it a little more power. Gives a little more power, but a lot of people put them on themselves, and this was done with homemade wiring, hardware store connectors and stuff like that. Very much shade tree kind of stuff, and one of those failed and the whole bike turned off. Much like a home-built Triumph, we see a lot of them. Really good intentions, really good base style behind it all, but a couple of shade tree kind of add-ons and ways to make things happen, and we see a lot of repairs like that too. So I love the spirit of that. I love the do-it-yourself spirit. That's the customization spirit too, is to get something and make it your own and do it yourself ideally. So not talking any trash about it, but if you don't do your homework on it, you're going to have to see us one way or another. So yeah, chime in the comments with any thoughts about this kind of stuff. And if you love your CBR, come talk to Bailey. If you haven't liked and subscribed to our channel, please do. And thanks for watching.